Yet, as the space program example obviously demonstrates, proposal arguments focus on the future, what people, institutions, or governments should do over the upcoming weeks, months, or, in the NASA moon mission example, decades. This orientation toward the future presents special challenges, since few of us have crystal balls. Proposal arguments must therefore offer the best evidence available to suggest that actions we recommend will achieve what they promise. In May 2014, Senator Elizabeth Warren introduced legislation aimed at reducing student loan debt, in part by allowing for refinancing. In an interview in Rolling Stone, Senator Warren explained, "Homeowners refinance their loans when interest rates go down. Businesses refinance their loans. But right now, there's no way for students to be able to do that. I propose that we reduce the interest rate on the outstanding loan debt to do the same rate Republicans and Democrats came together last year to set on new loans, 3.86%. For millions of borrowers, that would cut interest rates in half or more." Yet, Warren's proposal soon came under fire, particularly from senators who argued that the proposed bill did little to reduce borrowing or lower the cost of higher education. So despite the concerns of bankers and economists that the 1.1 trillion student loan debt is dampening the national economy, the bill was turned aside on June 11, 2014, which raises the matter of audiences, and we are left asking whether Senator Warren's bill spoke equally well to students, parents, bankers, and members of Congress. Some of those audiences failed to be convinced. Some proposals are tailored to general audiences. Consequently, they avoid technical language, make straightforward and relatively simple points, and sometimes use charts, graphs, and tables to make data comprehensible. You can find such arguments, for example, in newspaper editorials, letters to the editor, and political documents like Senator Warren's proposed legislation. And such appeals to a broad group make sense when a proposal, say, to finance new toll roads or build an art museum, might surf on waves of community support and financing. But often proposals need to win the approval of specific groups or individuals, such as financiers, developers, public officials, and legislators, who have the power to make change actually happen. Such arguments will usually be more technical, detailed, and comprehensive than those aimed at the general public because people directly involved with the issue have a stake in it. They may be affected by it themselves and thus have in-depth knowledge of the subject, or they may be responsible for implementing the proposal. You can expect them to have specific questions about it and possibly formidable objections. So identifying your potential audiences is critical to the success of any proposal. On your own campus, for example, a plan to alter admission policies might be directed both to students in general and, perhaps in a different form, to the university president, members of the faculty council, and admissions officers. An effective proposal also has to be compatible with the values for the audience. Some ideas may make good sense but cannot be enacted. For example, many American towns and cities have a problem with expanding deer populations. Without natural predators, the deer are moving closer to homes, dining on gardens and shrubbery, and endangering traffic. Yet one obvious and feasible solution, cooling the herds through hunting, is usually not seeable to communities. Perhaps too many people remember Bambi. Respond. Work in a group to identify about half a dozen problems on your campus or in your local community, looking for a wide range of issues. Again, you will do this on the discussion board. Don't focus on problems in individual classes. Once you have settled on these issues, then use various resources: the web, the phone book, if you can find one, a campus directory, to locate specific people, groups, or offices whom you might address to influence to deal with the issues you have identified. Developing proposals. In developing a proposal, you will have to do some of all of the following. Define a problem that needs a solution or describe a need that is not currently addressed. Make a strong claim that addresses the problem or need. Your solution should be an action directed at the future. Show why your proposal will fix the problem or address the need. Demonstrate that your proposal is feasible. This might sound easy, but writing a proposal argument can be a process of discovery. At the outset, you think you know exactly what ought to be done, but by the end, you may see and even recommend other options. Defining a need or problem. To make a proposal, first establish that a need or problem actually exists. You'll typically dramatize the problem that you intend to fix at the beginning of the project and then lead up to a specific claim. But in some cases, you could put the need or problem right after your claim as the major reason for adopting that proposal. Let's ban cell phones on campus now. Why? Because we've become a school of walking zombies. No one speaks to or even acknowledges the people they meet or pass on campus. Half of our students are so busy chattering to people that they don't participate in the community around them. How can you make readers care about the problem you hope to address? Following are some strategies. Paint a vivid picture of the need or problem. Show how the need or problem affects people, but both those in the immediate audience and the general public as well. Underscore why the need or problem is significant and pressing. Explain why previous attempts to address the issue may have failed. For example, in proposing that the military draft be restored in the United States or that all young men and women give 2 years of national service, a tough sell, you might begin by drawing a picture of younger generation that is self-absorbed, demands instant gratification, and doesn't understand what it means to participate as a full member of society. Or you might note how many young people today fail to develop the life skills they need to strike out on their own. Or like Congressional Representative Charles Rangel, Democrat of New York, who regularly proposes a Universal National Service Act, you could refine the issue as a matter of fairness, arguing that the current all-volunteer Army shifts the burden of national service to a small and unrepresentative sample of the American population. Speaking on CNN on January 26, 2013, Rangel said, "Since we replaced the compulsory military draft with an all-volunteer force in 1973, our nation has been making decisions about wars without worry over who fights them. I sincerely believe that reinstating the draft would compel the American public to have a stake in the wars we fight as a nation. That is why I wrote the Universal National Service Act, known as the Draft Bill, which requires all men and women between the ages of 18 and 25 to give 2 years of service in any capacity that promotes our national defense." Of course, you would want to cite authorities and statistics to prove that any problem you're diagnosing is real and that it touches your likely audience. Then, readers may be ready to hear your proposal. Take a look at the cartoon at the bottom of 280. File this cartoon under Anticipate Objections to Your Proposal, which we commonly refer to as a counterclaim. Page 281. In describing a problem that your proposal argument intends to solve, be sure to review earlier attempts to fix that same problem. Many issues have a long history that you can't afford to ignore or be ignorant of. Understand, too, that some problems seem to grow worse every time someone tinkers with them. You might pause before proposing any new attempt to reform the current system of financing federal election campaigns when you discover that previous reforms have resulted in more bureaucracy, more restrictions on political expression, and more unregulated money flowing into the system. Enough is enough can be a potent argument when faced with such a mess.